I think the way you understand and manage your emotions is wrong. And not just you, but also the people who raised you and your friends, your classmates, your boss, your coworkers, pretty much everybody. I think they're all wrong, to be brutally honest, if I haven't been honest enough already. I know that's a bold claim, but I will explain. I also want to point you in what I think is the right direction and give you a couple of specific things you can do starting today. Hey, I'm Justin Sinceri. If I haven't scared you away already, I'm a therapist and coach who helps you live more calmly, confidently, and connected without psychobabble or woo-woo. Welcome to Stuck Not Broken. This podcast, of course, is not therapy, nor do I intend it to replace therapy. A couple of conversations came up recently in my one-on-one client work. This conversation also comes up within the Unstucking Academy during live events like skills practices or Q&As. It centers on how we understand our emotions and how to approach them. The answer I had for those two clients is the same for the Academy, and I'll give it to you now. As they both told me, this is different and weird, and they're right. I'll assume you'll have the same reaction. You're going to think it's weird, but as I walked them through an emotional regulation exercise, they saw the benefit of doing things the weird way. They both saw their difficult emotions soften and eventually not even be present. So what's the common wisdom when it comes to understanding our emotions? I don't think we commonly give it much consideration at all. How often do we talk about our emotions with other people or even reflect on our emotions? When we do, we describe our emotions as problems, things that need to go away, unless, of course, the emotions feel good, right? We describe our emotions maybe as a chemical imbalance, which is a hypothesis, to put it kindly, that is pretty much debunked at this point, though that's probably a whole other episode. Or we describe our emotions as the result of the way we think. If we could just think differently, then we'd feel better. There are entire cognitive-based therapies, and I'm sure coaching programs grounded in this idea that cognitions lead to emotions. The self-help field relies on changing your cognitions, which in theory leads to a change in your emotions. We might understand our emotions as something that happens to us, like a virus or some sort of affliction. And we definitely look at our emotions like they're a disorder that we fall victim to. We understand emotions as a sign of weakness, lack of control, or irrationality. Emotions may be lumped into categories of positive and negative. We may look at emotions as an individual experience, a burden belonging to that one person, rather than an accumulation of life contexts which involve many people. And we may look at emotions as something that requires immediate reaction, like we need to do something reactively. Okay, so that was a lot, but tell me I'm wrong. And I didn't even get into general or even specific cultural or religious pieces of emotions. And there's even philosophies like Stoicism that rely on correcting our thinking in order to make our emotions better. So I think you get the idea. That's how we generally understand our emotions. Now, how do we deal with them? Or rather, how do we not deal with them? I'll bet you do at least one of the following 5 things. Number 1, resisting your emotions through one of many possible means, like suppressing them, pushing them down, and trying not to think about them. Resisting your emotions can look like shoulding or questioning yourself, sounding like, why do I feel this way? Or I shouldn't feel this way. Resisting can also look like arguing with the emotion, like telling ourselves it's irrational, trying to use logic to make it go away, or outright aggressively telling it to go away. Number 2 is ignoring your emotions through distraction, like doom scrolling, binge eating, partying, watching TV, and so on. Or ignoring your emotions through minimizing them, convincing yourself it's not a big deal, or downplaying it. Number 3, you may deal with emotions through behavioral adaptations. These are things that we do to cope with the emotions we struggle to feel, like the things that I mentioned earlier, doom scrolling and binge eating and so on. But these can also be addictions, oversleeping, and on and on and on, like tons of things. Any behavior to numb or keep our mind off our emotions, even lashing out at others. Number 4, you may intellectualize your emotions. Rather than feeling them, you explain them, you categorize them. Number 5, seeking perpetual external validation for your emotions. This kind of recognizes your emotions, but it's unending and it's based on the external validation of somebody else. That's only 5. There's probably a ton more I could put in here, and I'll stop it at that, but you probably can fit into at least a couple of those. And not just you, all of us. We have 2 problems here. One is the way you understand your emotions, which is a top-down cognitive issue. Another problem is how you manage your emotions, which is a behavioral issue. You can make changes in either problem, cognitive or behavioral, and see some benefit, sure. I think addressing our thoughts and behaviors is the least sustainable and most difficult path to change personally. Think of it like this. Trying to change your emotions by changing your thoughts is like trying to change the smoke to stop a fire. Obviously, the smoke is a problem, but it's not the problem. And even if we could somehow change the smoke, like channeling all of it out one window maybe, the fire is still going. And I think that's why it's so difficult to change emotions by focusing on thoughts or behaviors, because the fire, the emotion, is still there. And it doesn't go anywhere. It just stays there, growing, festering. Clients always intuitively know this, and I will go ahead and assume that you do as well. You can, of course, see change through altering thoughts and behaviors. Best of luck to you. However, I recommend a third option, which I have found to lead to sustainable changes in emotional regulation that doesn't rely on behavioral coping or trying to change the way that you think. Our emotions aren't just a way of thinking, and they aren't just a way of behaving. I argue that our thoughts and behaviors are a result of our emotions. Yeah, they affect each other, they reinforce each other, but emotion seems to be the driving force of thoughts and behavior. Basically, if our emotions change, so do our thoughts and behaviors. When you're relaxed, you're not ruminating about what someone said at work, right? And when you're joyful, you're way less likely to engage in doom scrolling. Emotions are something different. They're something that exists in our bodies. We can feel them. We can identify where they come from in our body and also what they need. For example, when we feel angry, it's not just a state of being in the brain. It's something that permeates through us. We feel more energized. We feel heat, maybe tension. And if you pay attention, you'll probably notice shorter breathing into the chest. The chest is where a lot of action happens with anger, particularly chest and upper body. Not only can you feel the emotion and where it lives in the body, but it's possible to identify what the emotion wants to do. I say what the emotion wants to do, but really I mean what your body wants to do. What you identify as an emotion is really just the conscious experience of some sort of activation in your body. When your sympathetic fight system is active, for example, your body shifts its processes to prioritize aggression. You feel this as the anger emotion, but underneath the anger emotion is the body's states of sympathetic fight activation. Emotions drive thoughts and behaviors, but the state of the body drives the emotion. The state of the body is the primary factor. If you can change your body's state, then your emotions change, and so do your thoughts and your behaviors as well. So how do you change your emotions through changing your body's state? I am not saying it's easy, but I can explain how to do it. And this brings me back to where I began with my 2 clients, the ones who thought these ideas are weird, and yeah, they're right, they are weird, they're different. Both of these clients were men who had high stress, which showed up as anger. That's just a coincidence. I apply these ideas and techniques to a wide range of clients. These 2 just so happened to have the same conversation with me in, I think, the same week and have the same presenting problems and both be men. I told them they need to actually pay attention to how they feel and stop projecting, stop explaining, stop minimizing, just pay attention to their anger and their stress. When we pay attention to our emotions, it becomes a portal to change our state. As our state changes, the emotions soften or can even resolve. To change your state, you need to connect with the experience of your body mindfully. Use your emotions as a portal to connect with your body's state. If we use the anger example again, you would mindfully connect with the body's experience of anger. You would give it permission to be there. After permitting the anger, you would then direct your attention to the present moment experience of anger and how it shows up in your body. The goal is not to get rid of the anger. The goal is to connect with the anger. When you connect with the anger, it gives your body the opportunity to self-regulate. In other words, it opens the potential for your state, your body's state, to shift. I know, you're assuming it'll get worse if you pay attention to your emotions. That's common, and that's what the two clients thought as well. Probably nearly all my clients do the first time they hear this. Same with the Unstucking Academy students. I get it, and it's okay to have that trepidation. The essential piece of this is to only begin paying attention to your emotions when you have a sense of grounding in the present moment. You'll know you're grounded because you'll feel a sense of connection with yourself, maybe with others, or with your environment. You'll be in tune with your senses. You'll be curious about what's happening internally. This sense of groundedness comes from your body's state of safety. It's your body's built-in safety system using the ventral vagal pathways from your brainstem. That's what helps you to feel grounded and connected. Probably too much information, but there you go. When your brainstem detects that it's safe, it will shift your body state toward the ventral vagal safety state. It's totally okay if you get here to retain this state, just kind of like marinate in it. If you aren't ready to challenge your safety state, I don't blame you, that's fine. But when you get there, it's the perfect opportunity to mindfully connect with your other emotions like anger or anxiety or even depression. Another key thing is to ensure you're maintaining access to your safety state when you get there, and if you're going to challenge it by feeling something uncomfortable. While mindfully connecting with something like anger, you always want to check on your breath, take an extended exhale here and there, maybe have a fidget to connect with, and cues of safety around you like silence or music, a soft texture, or maybe even a scent that you like a candle. As you practice this skill, you'll strengthen your body's safety state. As those ventral vagal pathways strengthen, your other emotions, the uncomfortable ones, will soften and even release or leave. It's possible to see benefit from even one of these exercises, but the real benefit comes from a proactive practice, just like you're building a skill or the strength of anything else. Let's talk about what to do next. What I described already might be a bit much, and that's normal and that's okay, but we need to start somewhere. I find the best place to start is trying to get in touch with your body's safety state. Even small moments can have a big impact. So I invite you to do something you enjoy, like eating a blueberry or smelling a candle or touching a certain blanket. But do that thing, but notice how it feels. Don't just do the thing that you like. Notice how it affects your body. What happens in your breathing? What happens in your muscles? Are they more tense or more relaxed? Another easy way to practice is to extend your exhale in one mindful and intentional breath. Take in one breath, let it out slowly, focusing on the way your body feels as you exhale. Now, these two little ideas don't solve the emotional problem that you have, but they help you get in touch with your body's potential for safety. And it does start the process of building more safety within your system. And that's a good thing. We want more of that. Thank you so much for joining me on Stuck Not Broken. I hope this episode has helped you think about your emotions differently and given you a couple ideas on what you can do differently, even starting today. I have another next step for you, and it's free. It's called Your Next Steps. It's a free course in the Unstucking Academy, and it collects my essential podcast episodes that I think you should start with. This foundational knowledge helps you lay a foundation for you to build from. If things click for you, your next steps may open up after that. So use the link in the description to access it for free today. Thanks again. Bye.